So now we're down to the year before I had Beastbros.com as a movie review site. The last one I did was A Game of Shadows. So we're going to move on to Battle LA, Battle Los Angeles. I don't remember all this much. I remember it was very actiony, that the story needed work, and while everyone else seemed to be giving it positive reviews, as I recall. Actually, I don't remember if I was getting positive or mixed reviews. It was, I'm going to tell you right now. It was getting... Oh, no, it was getting bad reviews. 35% of critics, 49% of users. So I'm actually not far off there. Terra, Battle for Terra. I don't recall too much about that one, but it seems that I liked it. That actually was a 2007 movie, I know, but I rated it 1 year ago. We Bought a Zoo. This one was one I did not expect much from, but it turned out to be really good. I couldn't believe Matt Damon and his acting. The story was good, which is really what I thought was going to be the Achilles heel. So I ended up actually liking it, and I gave that. Oh, I gave Battle of Terra 4.5 out of 5, by the way. And I would probably lower that to an 8 out of 11. In Battle LA, I'll keep it at the 5 out of 11 I gave it. And We Bought a Zoo, I'll keep it at the 9 out of 11. Adventures of Tintin. This one I didn't love. I don't see... Did I already do Hugo? Because I really liked Hugo. But Tintin, I didn't love it all that much. I won't say I didn't like it either, because this is me giving it an 8 rating. It's probably really a 7. The Darkest Hour, I gave it a set rating 7. I'll stick to that. Contraband, I gave that a 7. I'll stick to that rating. I don't remember too much about these movies. It's got to be good for me to remember it. Man on a Ledge, this one I remember. About the guy who was innocent and was framed, and he goes out on this ledge and threatens to jump while his partners try to prove his innocence by stealing back something. I don't want to call it the exact arch, but it was actually really good. I gave it a 7. There must have been problems in this movie. I seem to recall there were, but that 7 definitely stays. 1 for the money. Oh man, I give that a 2-star rating. I'm gonna have to hold it there because I really don't remember it. The next thing is The Grey. I gave this a 7 rating, and I know why. It was a good movie, and the story was good, but there was so much unnecessary stuff in here that just ultimately weighed the movie down. I mean, the main character was great, but all the supporting characters were terrible. Chronicle. Do I have to... Wait, is this the one that I've been waiting for it to come up? The one about the kids who shot movies? Kind of like Super 8? Yeah, it is. 3 high school students make an incredible discovery leading to their developing uncanny powers. Yeah, well, these powers are amazing and everything, but here's the issue with that movie. I gave it a good review. I gave it a 7 only because of the story. The whole... what might bother you is that it's not shot in... It's shot in widescreen, but it's shot in super widescreen for a majority of the movie until the last, I don't know, 30 minutes. Like this. So only I'm going to actually pause really quickly here. Not the film. Don't worry about it. I am going to show you my TV. Pretend this is a television screen. It's blown up 10 times the size. The movie was shown like this. Yeah, that bad. And here's the television screen. It's actually being shown from here to here. So you've got this big black stuff all around. This whole area not being used. did not work in my opinion. In fact, that is one of the weirdest presentations I've ever seen of a movie. But the story was good, and it definitely caught me off guard. The way things turned out in the end, with all of these kids, these three kids dying. One of them like totally loses control of his powers, and I just, I, I know I like the dramatics, so I gave it a 7. And like I said, in the last 30 minutes where it really matters, it does turn back into standard widescreen. Journey to the Mysterious Island, Journey 2, pretty good. I gave it a 9, actually. I seem to recall it being very good now that I think about it. It would definitely beat the original Journey to the Mysterious Island. No. Journey to the Center of the Earth. One of that was it. It certainly beat that. Woman in Black, I have a review for. Not bad, actually. Daniel shook off Harry Potter fairly easily. Good, because I believe the last two were a disaster. Yeah, I thought that about Harry Potter, and in fact, if you saw part 2, you heard me say that. Compared to the others, it would have been better as long as 1 and 2 were together. Seriously, it was better as Arthur Kipps than as Harry Potter. I know all you Harry Potter fans don't want to hear you say this, but one of the big issues was they didn't know if Daniel Radcliffe was going to be able to shake off Harry Potter, and he did. He was really awesome as this character, and I can't wait until his next movie. And let's hope it's as big as a hit of Woman in Black. I gave it a 9 out of 11, and it definitely sticks. This Means War. Is that the one about the spies? I'm trying to tell from the... Yeah, it is. That's the one with the spies fighting over a girl. They both say they finally found a girl. They turn their computers, and it's a picture of the same girl. In the end, one of them does get her. I'm not going to tell you which and spoil it completely, though. 10 out of 10. Did I give that a platinum? It was very funny. I think I did give that a platinum. I could be wrong. In any case, I'm going to give it just a 10. The Sitter. I gave that a 3. I'm going to reduce that to a 5 out of 11. I'd rather not talk about that one. I don't know why this one got pounded. The plot needed work, but it was funny. Something Borrowed is the movie I was talking about in that review. I gave it a 7 out of 11, and it is actually getting a 6. Sorry about that. Let's move on. The next movie is The Muppets. Now, what would you expect from something like this? Because it wasn't at all what I was expecting. I didn't do research into this movie. I didn't expect it to be a musical, pretty much. And this is something I see on TV. I actually have it recorded on my DVR for one moment. And if I have any space, I'm going to clear it off the DVR. There's one song in there that I really like. And if they just change the words, it would be a great song. Man or Muppet. If they could just change the word, like I'm a man or child or something like that, it would be a great song for everyone. But it's for the Muppet movie, so it was surprisingly good. I gave it a 9, and I'm going to stick with the 9. There were issues, and that was the first time I ever saw a movie in a Holden cinema. Terrible. I did not let that impact what I thought about the movie, but it was mono sound, and it was blasting loud. Not to mention the theater was filthy. I wasn't in stadium seating. I don't want to ever go back to a Holden cinema, but the movie had left all the cinemas, so I had to watch it on TV, and I was like, oh, this is much better in stereo. You don't realize what you have until you don't have it. Dr. Seuss's now. We go from the Muppets to the Lorax. Didn't do as good as the Muppets did. I gave it a 7. Definitely beats the book. Or if you ever saw the shorter animated movie, the little 20-minute one I have, definitely beats that. Very funny. Like, there's even adult comedy in this a little bit. I don't mean like serious adult comedy. Things adults would get that kids wouldn't. But, I mean, this had me laughing. And ultimately, I couldn't let the plot issues give this movie such a bad rating, so I gave it a 7. John Carter, I gave this a 9 only because of all the action and the detail and the plot was good, but the characters needed work. Especially, and this was where it faltered, the big one, John Carter. I think the big thing was the actor, though, if I may say so. Sorry. 1,000 Words. Finally, another Adam Sandler movie. Well, I'll tell you, 1,000 Words didn't. Wait, that was Adam Sandler, right? No. Was it Adam Sandler? No, it was Eddie Murphy. Right. Eddie Murphy. This movie did not do well at all. It got 0% of critic. No critics liked it. This is the worst I've ever seen. No critics and only half the users at 49%. Now, I give this a 9. It is funny, funny, funny. But the critics have a point. The only reason I'm giving it a 9 is for its comedy. Other than that, there is nothing to this movie. Okay? There's no plot. There's no nothing. And if you disagree with me, I mean, it was like this movie. What's that one where Meet Dave or something like that, where where there's like a mini him operating a big him in the human world, and they're like all like aliens who look like humans, and that didn't work. And the only reason this one worked was because of his comedy. And if you think otherwise, just look at the 0% of critics who liked it. 21 Jump Street. I don't recall too much about that one. I do recall it was very funny, and that the 9 definitely stands. Now, I ended up buying this one, The Hunger Games, Platinum, definitely. First Platinum movie I had to grant in a while, but I went here not having read the book, waiting to see what the movie was like. Really awesome. Actually, not even knowing that this was part of a series. I came back from seeing the movie, and my brother mentioned there were 2 other books. I ran out and bought them on audio CD and listened to both of them. Can't wait for the sequels. Let's hope the sequels are better than the books, because the book made her out to be a sissy. A little crybaby, and unfortunately, when I bought the movie, I looked at Katniss and I saw all the things the book had described, all this fear in her that I hadn't seen the first time around. And I realized she's not as cool as I thought she was. Does that mean I'm reducing my rating? No. I still loved the movie. It's still one of my favorites in a while, and so it still gets the platinum, The Hunger Games. And it's just unlike any movie I've ever seen. And as weird as the next two movies are going to be, especially the last one, I still can't wait for them. And I'll see them and hoping they're better than the book. I still say this movie was better than its book, even though I never read the book for the first one, just the 2 in the second. I'll have to let you know. Wrath of the Titans. This is the sequel to... I forgot the name of the prequel, but I rated it in my other one, I know. Wrath of the Titans, I have to say that this one definitely beat the other one I remember. And so I gave it a 9 out of 11. It was great to see like the gods and the humans working together. Mirror, Mirror. Okay, this was interesting. and I went to see this. I was like, there's no way this can be good. But I ended up giving it a 7 out of 11. I'm going to stick to that. And it's really just something you got to go see on your own to understand it. Titanic. Now, I've seen this before, but I went to go see it in the IMAX 3D. I rated Titanic, and it says 1997, but I actually went to see it in... Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. I went to see it in 1997, so I've seen the movie before, and the remake was exactly the same except in IMAX 3D. The 3D, a lot of people were saying wasn't going to work, and it really didn't. It was bad 3D. Worse than Wreck-It Ralph was. But the IMAX experience was amazing, all the sound and everything. So definitely stick to its Titanic. I gave a platinum rating, and it definitely sticks to that when I saw the movie, and it definitely sticks to it now. The Three Stooges. Now, prior to this movie, and I didn't know it was coming out, I was looking for some fun comedy, and my dad told me about the Three Stooges, and I'd always wondered like what they're all about. So I actually started watching some of their films on YouTube. You could find them all over, and some of them were really funny. Was this movie? You bet. In addition to being set in modern times and having towards the end having the appearance of Snooki and a gang and everything from Jersey Shore. That was just so funny, and having Moby one of them. uh, didn't work, but was funny. I'll stick to the 6 rating I give it still, because that's another one of those movies where it's funny, but not much thought goes into it. It's a Three Stooge movie. What do you expect? And I've heard rumors of a sequel. I don't know. Think Like a Man. I don't recall too much about that movie. I gave it a 9 out of 11 because I do recall it was funny. Dark Shadows. Now, this was a funny movie. It was Johnny Depp, right? It was also very interesting. Yeah, Johnny Depp. 38%, 46% of users. I disagree with them because I really liked it in the fact that you could get this like vampire guy. It was a relief, what with all the Twilight stuff that was going on. To have this guy be like half good, well, mostly good, but have some issues. So he's like still bad in some ways, and you got this guy that's 80% good and 20% bad going up against this girl that's really 80% good, 80% bad, not 20% good. And you've got a whole bunch of weird stuff going on in here too. So this movie is not for people who might get weirded out. Neither is The Pirates Band of Misfits. I give this movie a 7. I'm going to stick to the rating, but it only just got that 7. What got that 7 was, in addition to being a typical movie of this type, like a animation, there were moments where it wasn't typical. Like the Queen was totally not typical. You got to see the movie to understand why. The Dictator, I think I'm gonna skip that one because it's just with Borat and Bruno. I've had enough of you guys. Okay, stop the movies. Still, I have to say, as tiring as it is to see these movies, this one was okay. I gave it a 7. I'm going to reduce that to a 6, but still. The Avengers was a great movie. I still remember that. That's one of the movies I might still yet buy. The Avengers definitely had its moments, and it was pretty good. It was a giant relief to see the Hulk get in at least some control of his power after Loki comes into play, and we'll see what Loki does in the Thor sequel that's coming this summer. Don't forget the Avengers sequel that's coming too. But anyway, the Avengers did really good. I gave that a platinum rating. I keep the platinum rating. It definitely was great, and so was Safe. I gave it an 8. I don't recall too much about this one either. I forget a lot of the movies that I don't love. But here's one I didn't forget. This is the one I'm talking about right now. It was really good. I give it a platinum rating, and if I give a movie a platinum rating, chances are I'm going to buy it. Or a 10 for that matter. And as you can see, I did buy this one. Men in Black 3 was... I want to see what critics thought of this one. They said 70% liked it and 72% of users. So it actually did pretty good. And it's definitely my favorite of the Men in Black movies. Totally beats the first one and just beats the second one. And it rocked that it was in 3D. And yes, this is the 3D Blu-ray, and yes, I do have a 3D TV. It's gonna rock to watch in 3D tonight. Although if my dad wants to watch it, I'm gonna have to go downstairs and watch it in 2D. But still, it was a great movie. The story was great. The characters were great. You're pulled away from the world of Men in Blacks 1 and 2. This isn't like Men in Blacks 1 and 2, because you got someone else playing K, and Will Smith is still Jay, and it's back in time, and it's really funny. There are still all these funny moments. Prometheus. Now, I've never seen Alien. I do plan to, but someone told me that this is like a prequel to Aliens. So I went and saw it in the IMAX, and it was surprisingly good. I did not think I was going to like it, but I gave it a 9, and I stick to that 9. And now I have no choice but to see the Alien movies. But here's one I've been waiting to talk about. Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. I don't own that on Blu-ray, but I will. Platinum rating. Definitely the best of the Madagascars. Possible 4th on the way, by the way. 3D was awesome. One of the best 3D I had seen. And... let's see, what else can I say about the story? The story worked, which has been an issue with the past 2 Madagascars. There hasn't really been a developed story, but the story worked in this, and the characters were good. And that's why I got it platinum rated, finally. As Snow White and the Huntsman. The Huntsman was the only good character in this. Let me put it that way. Snow White was decent, but not great. The Huntsman was the only good character, but the story was decent. The movie was decent. There was closure. There was a good plot, so I gave it a 7. Figured, heck, why not? I'm going to reduce that to a 6. 6 out of 11. What to expect when you're expecting, I gave that a 6. I want to talk about that one, but I'll tell you I'm reducing it to a 5. It only gets that because it was funny. Ted. Now I gave this a 9. I gave it a 9? I thought I gave it a 10. But this is another one I'll buy. Yeah, it's probably best that it's a 9. But because there were some issues. It was, let's put it this way, it was nothing special. But the plot was good, and it was very funny. Definitely not kid appropriate. And I'll tell you what, that was great. I'm not going to see the new Seth Rogen movie that just came out, but he was great in this one. Brave. We're getting kind of close here. We're down to 5 months. But Brave, I gave a 9. It was nothing like I expected. Okay? I'm going to go into a bit of a spoiler here. The mother gets turned into a bear. Where do they show that in the trailer? They don't. They show Brave shooting an arrow, but she does it in the... Brave's not her name, what am I saying? But they show the girl shooting the arrow in the beginning, but that's like 15 minutes into the movie, and then What, is it over? No, her mom gets turned into a bear because of something she does. She wants her mom to listen to her, so instead she gets a potion that turns her into a bear. Oh, jeez. I don't remember how it goes exactly, but that was just so funny because she may have turned into a bear, but she's still got all the thoughts of she's still thinking like herself. She still is herself. She's got a bear's body and is up to what is the character's name? This is killing me. Oh shoot, I should have done that. We're gonna have to pause this in a second. Merida. Merida, right. And now if I go back, I'm gonna have to start this all over again, aren't I? Yes, I am. Hold on a minute. That actually wasn't as painful as expected. Anyway, Brave was pretty good, so I keep that 9. The Amazing Spider-Man was also pretty good. I gave that a 9, and I keep that at a 9. Something I'd buy? Probably not. It's just not my type of movie. It's very different than the original Spider-Man. The characters are very different. The story is very different. It's just very different. So if you're into the Toby Keith Spider-Mans, you might be into this one, you might not. I was, and I was totally in, and I own the other 3, but this is in no way connected to the Toby Keith Spider-Mans. Ice Age Continental Drift, I gave this an 8, but it was very funny, and it was easily the best Ice Age. Buy it. If I do, it's only for the 3D, because the 3D was amazing. It had a good story, which is a first for the Ice Age. They've had okay stories, but never like a really good story like this one did. We're down to 4 months now. Oh my. Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Well, I've been seeing Diary of the Wimpy Kid movies and surprisingly liking them. And Dog Days was certainly the best. Still, it's the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and it's in movie form, so I gave it a 7. I'll stick to that 7. And I'll tell you that the plot was pretty much remained the same throughout the whole movie, but it was pretty funny. And the plot was good enough to remain the same throughout the whole movie. I don't know why people are knocking this movie either. It was good. Not great, but good. Funny at times, although vulgar, it certainly has its moments. It may seem predictable, but it's really not. And the movie I'm talking about now is The Watch. In fact, my parents were watching this on demand last night. I'm sorry, they red boxed this one. I gave it a 7. I keep the 7. It was indeed very funny. There were plot twists in here that ultimately saved the movie. Like one of the members of the Watch actually turning out to be one of the aliens, who is in actuality gonna help the Watch destroy his own race, ultimately. Total Recall. Another one my parents just recently red boxed. Let's see. This one also was like The Watch had its moments, and it took a bit to get started, but when it did, and I started understanding things, it definitely earned the 8-star rating, the 8-point rating it gets, 8 out of 11. Paranorman, not nearly as good as. No, I'm thinking of the wrong one. My bad. Paranorman got a 6. Okay. It was surprisingly good. The plot was good, but the characters needed work. And as good as the plot was, I can't describe it. The plot was good, but the characters didn't connect with it. Neither did the main character. That's the issue. Bourne Legacy. Look, I've been a Bourne guy, but this movie had virtually no plot to it, okay? It was very actiony, but virtually no plot. It comes together in the end, but you got to sit through a whole bunch of junk to get there. Uh, 5, I don't know if I should hurt it that much, but yeah, I'm gonna keep to the 5 anyway. Now, The Expendables 2, on the other hand, definitely gets to hold on to that 7. I thought it was better than The Expendables 1. It was really awesome and really actiony, and this was about the time that I was starting to think. In fact, it was this movie that made me think. You know what? I should be reviewing these movies. Um, but I don't remember too much about it. I just remember the starting sequence where they're in the plane and that there's plenty of action and that I enjoyed it. And now there's another movie that my parents recently red boxed called Premium Rush, and I don't own this movie, but I did give it a platinum rating because I I'm gonna reduce that to a 10. Um, but it was pretty good. It had plenty of plot twists. It just wasn't a movie I would buy. It's not a movie I would want to watch again and again. But gets the 10 out of 11. So I don't want to give too much about this movie because it's really something you have to see. It's not something a critic can tell you about. You've got to be there for the start, the middle, and the finish, and the movie is good. If you miss a part of it, especially the beginning and the middle, you're if you miss any important detail, you've missed the whole movie. And I don't want to do a whole summary, so I'm just gonna skip that review and tell you it got a 10 out of 11. Make the judgment on your own. Hit and Run, I don't recall too much about that one. The Campaign, I recall that one. Um, I gave it a 6, but it's not even really that funny. I'm going to reduce that to a 5, actually. There is closure, and I was satisfied with the ending, but it just, and to watch. Look, it would have gone an 8, but it got a 7 because of the ending. Everyone dies! I'm sorry if I just ruined it for you, but you, and it's not even a good death. I don't want to talk anymore about that one. But it gets a 7 because throughout the whole thing, it's good. And much like Chronicle, the whole thing is actually shot from a police camera. Well, not the whole thing, but a majority of it. It goes in and out of police camera and camera of that's making the movie. At least it stays widescreen though. Dredd 3D. Now I had never seen the original Dredd, so I didn't know what I would think of this one. Went in there, blown away. I'm glad I saw this because this is probably one I'll go and grab on. If it comes to 3D Blu-ray, this is something I'll go and grab on 3D Blu-ray and play it on my TV. My dad hasn't seen this one yet. He's seen the original. But it was interesting. I remember seeing it at the beginning and I was like, oh, okay. And then it got it past the first 15 minutes and I was like, oh, I may actually like this movie. And then at the end of the first hour, I was like, I was totally into it. I couldn't believe it. And the 3D was amazing too. So that helped. And I don't know what it is, but I'm getting into these movies all of a sudden. I didn't used to be into all these action stuff, but I am getting into it now. Looper, I went to see for Bruce Willis. Look, there wasn't too much Bruce Willis in this until the middle end and the end. But it was still a good movie, so I give it an 8 out of 11. Now, here's the time. This is the time that I was starting to rebuild beastbarrelsy.com to get ready for the movie reviews. And I saw the movie Hotel Transylvania. I really want to talk about this one because I was like, Adam Sandler voicing An animated vampire? Wow, this is going to be funny. And indeed it was. It was funny. It really did focus on the human being there and everyone thinking he's Frankenstein's son or something like that. Except, of course, the guy who's hiding him from the other monsters. What the trailers don't show is that it's actually because the monsters are scared of humans. Just as scared as we are of them. And the whole thing he's trying to do throughout this movie is keep his daughter scared of humans. And obviously, in the end, they reveal that he's a human, and the daughter likes him, and I don't remember the whole. They go on. They actually go on and see the world together. I gave that a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 11 because it was very funny. Now, like I was going to say when I told you about Paranorman, Frankenweenie wasn't as good. There it is. Frankenweenie. I gave it a 5. I stick to that rating. Even, I mean, the whole black and white thing, hasn't this been done before? The Corpse Bride wasn't that black and white? I don't think Tim Burton's got much left. So the 5 rating sticks. I don't have much to say about this one. The plot was bad until the very end. And I'm sorry, the plot was bad until the middle, and then it got bad again in the end, and then in the very end it got good. And again, it was up and down the whole time through. Taken 2 was good. I can't remember Taken all that much, but Taken 2, I remember there are all sorts of different points in this plot, each one with like its own story, but all connect into one. And the 9 out of 11, I'm going to drop that down to an 8 out of 11 actually, but it was still really good. 7 Psychopaths, I gave it a 7 out of 11. Don't recall too much about this movie, except there were really only 6 psychopaths. And none of them are really psychopaths, they just act crazy, so to speak. I'm reducing this to a 6 from a 7. Here Comes the Boom. By the way, we're getting close. I only have 2 more movies to rate, actually. Here Comes the Boom. By this point, I had finished the website, put it up, and mentioned that my first rating would be Wreck-It Ralph, although I ended up seeing Cloud Atlas and Fun Size and rating those on the site. But anyway, Here Comes the Boom. The plot was good, but there were moments that just didn't work, and that's why I got a 7, and the last one, That's My Boy, didn't work. I was like, Adam Sandler, what are you doing? Go back to Transylvania, because you are much better there than you are here. In this movie, his character is just like an embarrassment, and that's what he's supposed to be in the movie. So he pulls that off nice, but it just didn't say Adam Sandler to me, and it wasn't even all that funny, this movie. That's why it gets a 6. If it had been a little funnier, it might have got a 7 or even an 8. But anyway, Cloud Atlas, Fun Size, Wreck-It Ralph, Skyfall, Rise of the Guardians, and The Hobbit are all on my website. Like full reviews, video reviews, except I didn't give Fun Size or Cloud Atlas a video review. So why don't I do that right now, actually? Cloud Atlas, there were all these different points. There were all these different times, like 5 different times, and my text review really says it better, but I'm going to try to say it. It was confusing. There was barely any Tom Hanks or Halle Berry. The best one, the best point in time was the future, and the second best was the furthest past. And when they all connected, it just wasn't satisfactory. So I gave it a 6 out of 11. I keep that. Fun Size was actually very funny. I hadn't seen a Nickelodeon movie in a while, and it was nice to see Victoria Justice get out of Victorious for a bit. And so I really enjoyed it. It was funny. It does really focus on the kid more than Victoria. Victorious does. See, whenever I say Victoria, I want to say Victorious because of her TV show. But it really does focus on the kid more. So that was a relief, and that was why the movie got a 7 rating. I'm sure if it had focused on Victoria's character, she would have not. It wouldn't have been as good. Wreck-It Ralph, like I said, I have a video review, and that's where my video reviews began. And I haven't not made a video review since. And you'll want to see the video review for all the rest of them. And here's my official announcement: I am no longer doing text reviews because video reviews have been really awesome. My Wreck-It Ralph and Skyfall reviews were good. I know I kind of lost it with The Hobbit and Rise of the Guardians and a couple of other ones, but I'm gonna pick it back up. I'm gonna make it more like the Wreck-It Ralph's review was, and get even better. Oh, this whole thing.